Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Finding the Balance. I am Melina Denard, the creator of Life and Money, where we talk about life and money with the hope of helping you find the balance. If you are a first time viewer, thank you so much for deciding to tune into my channel today. And if you are a viewer from the last two videos, thank you so much for joining me again. Today I want to take some time to talk about this concept known as value-based budgeting. This concept is basically taking your personal values and using those values to guide how you plan to spend or budget your money. So, first things first, what do you value? What do you feel is important to you? That's a hard question, right? It really makes you take the time to think, and it makes you get all deep and philosophical, and you're asking questions like, why am I here? Why do I exist? But it's really important to know, what do you value? What is important to you? And it's important to understand what you value, because your values govern, or it kind of guides what you feel is a need, what you feel is a want, what you feel makes you happy. It's what you feel is important to you. And it's important to make sure that your values aren't being dictated by what your parents' values were, or what your parents say your values should be, or what your friends say your values should be, or even what society says your values should be. It's important to understand why you value what you value as well. So, now that you've talked about what you value and you've really thought about it, you may come back with answers like, I value my faith, I value God, or my spiritual well-being. I value my family, I value my friends, I value my health, I value success, I value self-care, I value travel and exploration. And all of those things are great values. They are, what we find to be important. So now that you've determined what your values are, what does this mean in this whole big thing about value-based budgeting? How do you create a value-based budget? So, again, first things first is you identify what your values are and why you value those values. So, when I was doing that exercise for myself, three of my values were financial security, I value my family, and I value, I say travel, but I guess the big picture is I value new experiences and meeting new people and trying new foods and just seeing new things. So the best way I can kind of one word that is I travel, because when you travel, especially to an international company, you kind of get all those new things to kind of happen. So I came up with my values. But what is something like financial security? What does it look like? What does it even really mean? I value financial security. Well, for me, and in my thought process of creating my value-based budget, I broke those values down further into SMART goals. When I say SMART, I'm not saying intelligent. I'm saying SMART as in the acronym for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. SMART goals. So, for a value like financial security, I further break that down. I say financial security is having a backup plan, or money put aside when, there's an emergency that pops up, or something I need to take care of that pops up, or God forbid I lose my job or something, money to fall back on, like a backup plan. So the goal is an emergency fund that is valued at 3 months of my living expenses that I plan to save by the end of the year. So that is the SMART goal to carry forth the value of financial security. For something like spending time with my family is all in Florida and I live in Virginia. So spending time with my family for me looks like taking 2 to 3 trips home per year. Travel looks like taking at least 2 trips a year, not including my travel to see my family, and at least one of those trips needs to be an international trip. So those are my 3 goals, kind of like set up in a way that I can envision it and I can picture it. And those are my SMART goals. So once I have my values, I develop SMART goals and a plan to kind of see those values come to light. I need to adjust my budget accordingly. So if you tuned into my first video, you know the first step to creating or updating a budget is to understand where your money is going. What are you doing with your money? Where is it going each month? And the only way to do that is to kind of look at your transaction history. So you log on to that Wells Fargo or Bank of America or whatever credit union you bank with, and you get that transaction history. And for me, in this instance, I got the transaction history and I went line by line, and for each expense I noted, does this align with my value or does it not? It either does or it doesn't. And for going home, I was already doing that. I was already going home two to three times a year. And I was just making it happen. I wasn't planning for it necessarily, but it was happening. But for travel and for saving, I would travel when the trip came up, but I wasn't being intentional about traveling. And for saving, I was saving, periodically, or if I had a little extra money, or got my tax return, or got a bonus, I would put a little money into my savings, but I wasn't being intentional about it. I wasn't setting a certain amount of money aside every pay period or every month. So with the latter two, it was time, and I would make excuses, for saving. I don't have enough money to save. I don't make enough money to save. Once I pay all my bills, all my money's gone. Or for travel, I can't travel more because, hey, I don't have enough money to travel. But when I took the time to really look at my spending, I realized I was wasting a lot of money on things that did not get me closer to my short or long-term goals. It did not fit into any of the things that I said that I valued. I was not putting my money where my mouth was, or should I say I was not putting my money where my values are. So it was time to make some adjustments. So with this new knowledge of the fact that I was really wasting a lot of money on those Target runs where I go and get that hair stuff I don't use, or that Sephora splurge when I walk in there to get a new pack of bottle of Kat Von D, and I end up spending $125, or going to Starbucks 5 days a week, or eating out, or going to happy hour. All the things I was wasting my money on, I can kind of take that and reallocate those things and add them as actual line items into my budget. So I just wasn't spending my money on these frivolous things that at the end of the day had no meaning. So for savings, the emergency fund, I calculated what my living expenses were for 3 months. So living expenses times 3 divided by 12, because this was at the beginning of the year. And hey, now I have a new savings goal to add into my budget and to work towards each and every month or every pay period. And for travel, I identified, well, for this year I didn't identify. So for this year, my 2 trips were already known. My friend is getting married, as I talked about in my last video. We went to Aruba for her bachelorette party, and we are going to Dominican for her wedding. So my 2 trips were already decided. So again, but with that said, I knew that I was going to Aruba. I needed to buy a plane ticket. I knew that I was going to Dominican Republic. I had to buy a plane ticket. I had to pay for the hotel. Needed to spend the money. So each month, I plan to put money aside for that. It's not going to come, and I have to scramble and figure out how I'm going to pay for this trip. Because I already knew it was coming. I planned for it. I budgeted for it. So you get your values. You come up with goals and action items to make those values become real and true and evident in your life. And you budget and you spend accordingly. That is the concept of value-based budgeting in a nutshell. Because it is important for us to understand that money is not the end goal. Money is a means to the end. So money is just a tool that we are using to create the lives that we want, to do the things that we want to do the things that we love, to spend the time with the people that we love, that we care about. Money is just a tool. So when you're thinking about your values, you plan this value-based budget so that you can use your money to do the things that you value. So that's that. If you found this video helpful, please, hit the like button. If you just want to keep up with what's going on this channel, please hit the subscribe button. If you have any questions, please feel free to drop a line in the comment section below, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. If it was something that you didn't understand, just ask a question. So again, thank you for tuning in, and I will see you next time.